He was called the man with the golden hammer in the BBC documentary. He's going to exchange that today with the microphone for the interview with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd say he's the auctioneer on a not just Swiss, but on an international level. He's been in the art industry, in the art market for more than 50 past years as an auctioneer, as an art specialist, as an auctioneer, a photographer, and occasionally I hear even as a DJ, where I think it's quite originally. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with a big applause, originally from Basel and also called the Mick Jagger of auctioneers, Simon de Pury. Agora você pode falar com ele.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. My birthday was yesterday, but I am thrilled to be here. Romero, this is not the first time that I have the great privilege and joy to see you. On 2 occasions, you have shown me and the world what an incredibly generous man you are. Because the first time I met you was in the home of Elton John.
Yes.
And Elton John is one of the most talented men I know, but also one of the most generous men I know. And he was, every single year, he was organizing a dinner at his home, and people were paying a lot of money to be part of this dinner. And during dinner, we would sell 4 or 5 exceptional artworks. And one year, you've donated a portrait of Elton John.
Yes.
And you maybe remember what it made?
Oh, no, yeah. Actually, it was a lot of money. It was something like, I don't know, $500,000, $600,000. And I know that who got was the owner of the Patriots, that he got that piece. And he was super happy. And the last one you did, the auction, was the car, the Bentley, which was in south of France. And we sold for $1 million, the Bentley.
Yes, I remember that one. That was, in fact, also for the Elton John Foundation. It was in a beautiful private villa in Cap d'Antibes.
Yep.
And then there was this Bentley that sold for $1 million. And, you know, we have a common friend who is called Stephen Hung, who's
Yes.
based in Hong Kong, and he spends quite a bit of time in Dubai. And on Instagram, yesterday, I saw him showing off his new car, which is a Rolls-Royce, and it is a Britto Rolls-Royce.
Yes. So, yeah, I did several cars. I did, of course, the Stephen Hong, and I did the launch of Mini Cooper North America, and I did also paint, you know, like some Audis, you know, and then so many cars, Rolls-Royce, and I have 2 Rolls-Royce of mine as well with my art, which is so happy, those cars. I love it to see them every day.
So we've heard that you are the artist that has most commercial endorsements of literally any artist. You have worked with so many different brands.
I know. I mean, that's unbelievable. For me, it's been a huge privilege and pleasure to share my work with so many people and to work with so many companies, you know, from Disney to Mattel, Hasbro, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, for me to do the opening ceremony of the Super Bowl, do the Grammys, and do so many other events around the world, create a Barbie, and have my work in movies. Just now came out a movie at Amazon Prime and Apple iTunes with my art. It's an hour and a half. You just saw a little bit of the documentary. It's really, really special. And if you have a chance to see it, take a look. But yeah, working with companies is always so nice and special to me.
Now, I must say you are an exceptional case, because not only are you doing fairly well, economically speaking, in order to be as generous as you are, but to become an artist is one of the most toughest things. We have many artists in the world, but very few who can basically live from their art, and even less artists who can, you know, make a successful income from their art. And most of them go the traditional route, and unless you know one of the biggest galleries or biggest art dealers, you don't stand a chance of getting the recognition that has been noticed. But there are some parallel tracks, and I would love to hear, you did a completely unconventional way that you got to success. So please describe to us how you became what you are?
Oh my God, it's a long journey. Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to tell you very few seconds or few minutes, but I never really thought that I would be a full-time artist. I always liked art growing up in Brazil. I wanted to change my life, but I never thought that art would be the one to make it happen. And I wanted to be a diplomat. I thought about doing paint on the side and like a hobby, but never really to wake up in the morning today and do what I do. So I set my mind to be a diplomat of Brazil. I wanted to be an ambassador. And I went to law school. When I was in law school, I was so miserable. And then I decided about quitting law school, and I decided about being full-time an artist. And I moved to US. I had to spend 1 year in Europe. And when I quit law school and the idea of being a diplomat, I was like, maybe I should go to Europe. And then I ended up going to visit a friend of mine in Miami. And I lived there ever since. I lived there for 40 years. And I've been very lucky that I always wanted to share my work with a lot of people. And today I'm doing, for the past 30 years, I've been doing that since I did the ad campaign for Absolute Vodka. And people relate to my art, and I'm super happy to have my work in the collection of Alice Walton, to the Buffetts, to the Carlos Slim collects my art, the whole family. I have so many people that collect my work. I do think for the masses, like when I do project with Disney, because they sell my work at the parks. But I also I do have my work in amazing art collections as well. But it is a very difficult job, for you to create a piece of work, and you open yourself to people to criticize you and say whatever they want. People stop criticizing you when your work goes to so much money, and then everything starts changing. So, because you see in history so many artists, like from Andy Warhol to Picasso and so many others, that in the past nobody gave a cent for their work, but later on people start, pay attention. And I've been very lucky that people are paying attention to my work.
It's so interesting. We have one thing in common, by the way. I've also studied law, very, very briefly, just a few weeks, and also I came to the same conclusion as you did, and we did okay somehow, despite the fact that we dropped out of studying law. But I think it's so interesting that you also wanted to be a diplomat, because I feel attitude, and it was so interesting when we heard the laudatio of Sergio Emotti. It's so interesting to see what he thinks are the factors that make you successful in life. And his passion is clearly one of the things, but I think attitude is one of the things and key factors. And if I analyze you from the outside, I think you have a very, very positive attitude, because whenever I meet you, wherever I've met you, you're always very, very positive, and you spread positivity around you. And I think that's part of your success. I'm told that your art is called happy art. Tell us about it.
So the happy art movement happened without even me noticing, little by little, all this stuff that I was doing in US and other part of the world, people were telling me, Romero, your art make me feel this way. And my art started going and being taught in schools, not only US, but other parts of the world as well, Asia, Latin America. And one day I was talking to my CEO. I have a CEO that runs the business. We have lots of business now. And thanks to my art and all the funds that we raise, selling my work. And so he was telling me, Romero, you've definitely started a movement. And then I embraced the movement that has been happening for the past 35 years. And it's been really special to me to be able to share my work with so many people. And that's how it happened, without me even realizing that was happening out there. And many times it can happen to many people out there. When you're doing something, you say, oh my God, I didn't realize that I'm here. I just arrived. This is it.
I think one other factor about your art is that it's instantly recognizable. And if one did a survey internationally and asked anybody, can you please name the 10 most known international contemporary artists? I think the vast majority would not even be able to list 10 different names, unless you are, of course, in the business or in the art world. And you have created something, you instantly know this is a Romero Britto. And was that a conscious decision of yours that you wanted to become instantly recognizable and have something that everybody immediately knows?
No, I mean, it was not like something like thought out or that I was, calculating to do so. It just happened, very spontaneous. I love colors. I'm as you could say and see, I'm a very positive person, and I dream a lot. It's very important to dream. And I think I was putting all that love, the dream, this positiveness, this hope that I put in my work. And everyone that, we all want that in our lives. We want to be loved, we want to be respected, we want to grow, we want to be successful. Everyone wants to do something special when you come to this world. And I think this is the language this universal language and feeling that I put in my art, that people get it. And I think that's why I became so successful with what I do.
I love the fact that you mentioned that you are a dreamer, because I always say dreaming is the prelude to action. It's essential to dream, and you should never, ever stop dreaming. And last week in New York, there was very, very successful auctions, and the most successful work by a female artist ever was sold. Yeah. It was a painting by Frida Kahlo, yeah, which sold for $55 million. And the title of this work was A Dream. Yeah. And I recall in the late 90s, in 95, when the most expensive then work by Picasso was ever sold, it was also entitled The Dream. And there is, I think it's absolutely essential to be dreaming, and you are the demonstration of this. What would be your ultimate dream going forward?
Oh, well, I have so many dreams. The only thing is that all my dreams are very expensive and takes a lot of time. My studio is like the largest studio in the world, but it's not open to the public, and I wanted to have a studio where people can go there and see my art. And a lot of my projects, so many things that I've done throughout, so far, that's the idea of having a very large studio. My studio is like 60,000 square feet. My studio is bigger than the White House currently. And, but I would like one day to have one that's going to be open to the public, where you can bring your kids, your wife, your girlfriend, or a friend and go there and visit my art and get to know. So we are working on that.
How many people do you have working on your studio?
It's more than 100 people, because we have also Britto stores, and we have 2 stores now in Japan. And but we have stores. We sell my art in galleries, but we also have our own stores where we have goods that comes from my art.
Are you very active on social media?
I do have Instagram. Yes.
How many followers do you have?
It's like about 3 million Instagram. 3 million followers, yes.
This is remarkable, because the art world sometimes is quite kind of a small microcosm, and some of the most successful artists who fetch the highest prices in the public auctions have a much, much smaller number of followers than you have. Do you think the fact of being an extrovert and a very, very good communicator and a very good self-promoter is a key factor in your success?
Well, I think it does help a lot if somebody can speak what you feel and what you want, or what you do as well. Because if I was not able to come over here, I wouldn't be able to spend time with you and see Sergio Remote and so many people that today I met in this event. I think it's very helpful. But I think also it's very helpful if you do something that can speak to people and people want to have in their lives. Because if I did like a piece of art that just a small group of people would understand, so maybe just a village would want to get that, somebody in that village. But if you speak a language, or if you have a universal language, it's so much easier. And I think that's one thing about my art. What I speak about is about love, hope, and the positive things that we all want in our lives.
No, that's fascinating. I think it's Picasso who, in the 20th century, was one of the first artists, besides being a true artistic genius, in my view, possibly the greatest. In the 50s, he invited David Douglas Duncan to visit him, and he said, "Come to my bathroom." And while Picasso was taking a bath, David Douglas Duncan could photograph him, and he posed, etc., etc. And then Paris Match was filled with all of these photographs, and Picasso really used the means at the time to make sure that people would speak about him. And when I went to kindergarten and I was with another little child doing a drawing, I would ask him, "What are you doing?" And they would say, "I'm doing a Picasso." And then, of course, Warhol brought the art of self-promotion to a new level, and I think many very successful artists since then have, in a way, followed that pattern. Now, occasionally, you do have artists who are hugely talented, but are very pure communicators, and that is a challenge for them, because nowadays, more and more, you have to be able to tell a story, and it helps if you are the one telling the story, as opposed to someone else. And what sign of zodiac are you?
Libra.
Libra.
Yeah, what about you? Oh yeah,
Scorpio.
of course you're Scorpio, of
Yes.
course. If you,
But I have
just
Libra rising. That means I can understand you extremely well, because the love for art, the love for harmony, the love for communication, that's all Libra. So
Libra.
Which day specifically?
October 6th.
October 6th. Interesting. Because I'm also very interested in numerology. But so have you got some exciting exhibition projects coming up? Or?
So yes, so actually during Art Basel, I'm going to have 3 big events. One of them is a car that I'm painting for Fiat. The CEO of Fiat had asked me to create this art and for this car. So we're going to have a big party in Miami, because Art Basel is happening now in Miami next month, the beginning of the month. And then I'm doing a collaboration with Skechers. They sell about $10 billion a year of shoes. It's like the second largest producer of sneakers in the world. So the owner loves my work, and he asked me to do that. So we're going to launch this project with the Skechers. And then 1-800-Flowers, we're doing 3 events during Art Basel. But we have so many other ones that we're working. I'm working also in a cartoon that's coming out sometime soon for kids on television and whatever they can find. And so yeah, we have so many projects happening at the same time. They're like in US, in Asia, and Latin America, and in Europe. So
back in the 80s, in all art magazines, there were regular full-page ads by Absolute Vodka.
Yes.
And Absolute Vodka contacted a number of well-known artists to design or make an ad with their bottles. And I believe that was one of your earliest commercial endorsements.
Yeah, Michel Roux, the first artist that he commissioned was Andy Warhol. And then he told me, Romero, when I commissioned Andy Warhol, he was more famous than Absolute Vodka. And then he said, I'm going to do the opposite now. Now, Absolute Vodka is more famous than any artist. I want to make an artist famous through the product. So he commissioned me, and he did the ad campaign with my art. And I'm forever grateful to Michel Roux. He actually came to my exhibition at the Louvre several years ago. And now he's in heaven. But Michel, he was a champion of the arts, and he gives so many opportunities to so many other artists after Andy Warhol. And that's, Absolute Vodka, amazing. I love it. It was great.
And it clearly worked.
Yeah, it worked really well. After I did Absolute Vodka, I did so many projects with so many other companies. And I have so many companies that come to ask me to do, a campaign, but I only do with the one that are the best companies in the world.
I think there's one person that I loved and worshipped. He's Swiss. He's Claude Nobs, who was the founder of the Montreux Jazz Festival. And I had the privilege of being for 20 years on the board of his Montreux Jazz Festival. And you were, I think, possibly his favorite artist.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
And can you tell us how it started when Claude contacted you?
So Claude Nobs, his team contacted me, and I flew to Montreux to meet Claude Nobs. And then that dinner that I met Claude Nobs for the first time was Santana, Carlos Santana. And then the following year, I did the artwork for Montreux Jazz. and I did twice actually. And he invited me to all these events. I couldn't come to every one, but I came to many times to the Montreal Jazz. And I also paint the car for him. I don't know if you know the car that Shania Twain started her movie, her documentary, The Yellow Alfa Romeo. I did that on Montreal Jazz. Actually, it was right in front of the Montreal Palace that I painted that car. And she started her movie, telling her story, driving my painted car.
Who are some of your favorite musicians?
Oh, my favorite ones. Oh, I did portraits of so many people, from Mick Jagger, of course, Elton John, #1, and Beyoncé, Michael Jackson. He did a party for me in Neverland. He loved so much my art. Said, Romero, I want to do a party for you in Neverland. It was the whole day party in Neverland. But so many celebrities I did portraits. And I did a portrait of the King of England for his 70th birthday. He also collected my art. I did a portrait of the Queen of England as well, his mother. And I've been working in the foundation for the King's Trust for the past 11 years. Now I'm a trustee emeritus. And the first event for the King's Trust in US was actually happened in Miami, and I was the one who was hosting in Miami with the Harrisons. I'm sure you know the Harrisons in Miami from Carnival.
So if one is not the king or queen or hugely successful, famous celebrity, how can one get a portrait done by you? Do you accept portrait commissions?
Yes, I accept portrait commissions, and you had to reach out the gallery here in Switzerland, in Zurich, and Guido, you can reach out for that.
What is the price?
Oh, the price, it ranges. I've done portrait from, more than $500,000 to $1 million. It depends how big it is, how complex is the portrait. I'm right now working a portrait that's pretty large. It's for the son of Carlos Slim, and it should be finished by the mid of next year.
You know, the art market is one of the few places where bigger is not necessarily better, because in auctions, once you get above a certain size, especially the height of a work, right, the price actually goes down because, not everybody has a big castle, yes, or a palace, yeah, where they can hang enormous works. It's and true. So, of course, every artist's dream is to do something huge, something very, very large, and I will not name some of the artists who do some of the largest works today, but this is an absolute factor. So above 3 meters, yeah, 20 height, the price goes down because you severely limit the amount, yeah, of potential buyers.
Yeah, space is very complicated. I totally agree with you because there's certain amount, certain size that sells so fast. It's unbelievable.
Do you try and explore and evolve your style, or do you prefer to stick to tested?
No, I'm all the time that we experiment, all the time. You just have to see. I'm like right now I'm doing a graffiti, collection of pieces of works, and which is a mix between very fluid with very, very defined lines. And if you have a chance to Google Romero Britto, and you're going to be able to see, or go to whatever way you may find, and you see the new collection that I'm doing. But I'm all the time exploring. Of course, that there's some collectors or some people, they want to get something that from far away, from a mile away, you're going to see, oh my God, that's Romero Britto's work. And which is good and bad, because you definitely, sometimes the collectors that keep the artists, like doing the same thing, which is not something I wanted to do.
One last question. You're Brazilian, and I love Brazil for multiple reasons. I'm obsessed with football, and the Brazilians are football gods. I love music. Brazilian music is magical. Do you follow football closely?
Well, funny enough, I grew up having soccer ball all over my house because my brothers, all play soccer, right? And so later on in life, I was asked by FIFA to be the official artist for the World Cup South Africa. And then after that, I was asked to be the ambassador for the World Cup Brazil. And this World Cup that's happening in the US, I did the draw. They asked me to go and do the draw of that. So soccer's been my life. I did so many paintings inspired on Pelé for the World Cup in Germany. And so, yeah, I have a lot of collectors of mine who are soccer players, from Ronaldinho to name it.
Thank you, Romero. I see that the clock has gone into red, and we don't want red figures. That's not very good in Switzerland.
Perfect.
So thank you so
great to see you.
much. Lovely
and
to see you,
continue to enjoy
Romero.
your birthday.
Thank you.
Thanks for your kind words.
Simon de Pury und Romero Britto.